Hello and welcome, this is Eagle-Eye621, and today we're going to be talking about Piglin Bartering. I'm going to go through what you're going to get, about how much, take you through some redstone-less, massively overpowered farms capable of generating well over 200,000 items per hour. I'll show you some simple, fun redstone farms you can add, which have a little bit more of a nice look to them, and also if you don't feel like containing a bunch of the piglins. Before I do that, let me just ask you to briefly scroll down and hit that subscribe button. Sometimes YouTube unsubscribes people, so if you could just double check. These videos do take a while to make. And now let me show you what we're talking about. And we're going to start over here with our piglin friend. You can see this one has been name tagged. You do want to either name tag them or throw them some new armor. That way they don't despawn. Each one of these guys is capable of doing one trade every 6 seconds. Well, they'll take one of your gold ingots, meaning that you can do 600 per hour. And in Java 1.16.2, you'll get 3,384.33 items per hour. Now that is a decrease from 16.1. Some of the numbers have changed, and these are the current numbers. Although if you built some of those farms, they're probably still good. The issue with the numbers going down means you don't have any renewed hopper line issues, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, what is it that you're going to get? Well, right now we have starting off with Blackstone. Now, the way this works is all these trades are out of a 459 chance. So 40 out of those 459 will be this Blackstone, and you'll get between 8 and 16 per trade. That means on average you'll get 627.45 per hour. Now, gravel is the same. You still have that 40 chance out of that 459, and you'll get between 8 and 16 per hour, meaning that same 627.5 per hour. You can see we have our minimum and maximum bars like this. Our spectral arrows are next in line. You get between 6 and 12 of those. We're in our same 40 category, and that would get you 470 per hour. Now, there is one thing over there, which I'll get into in a second. So this is not actually your next most common item, but nether brick is between 2 and 8, still in that 40, meaning you'll get 261.5 per hour. And that's these, not the actual item. Soul sand, you'll get between 2 and 8, which means 261.5, also in that 40. And then leather is between 2 and 4, which means you'll get 156.86 per hour. Now, fire charge, while still in this 40 range, you only get 1 when it's selected, which means you'll get just over 52 of them per hour. And the crying obsidian, you get between 1 and 3, which means you'll get about 104.5. Obsidian, the normal kind, you only ever get 1, means you'll get 52.29, and this also is in your 40 category. Now here we drop to our 20 category, and the quartz is a 20 out of the 459. You'll get between 5 and 12 of those, which is 222.22 per hour. String is also in our 20 category, and when 3 and 9, meaning 156.86. And then we drop down here for nuggets, which is actually in our 10. So 10 out of the 459 trades. But because you get between 10 and 36 of them, you'll get just over 300 nuggets per hour, which you may see will fall in between our spectral arrows and our nether brick. Moving on down the line, we have some ender pearls. So this is also an ender pearl farm, although my enderman XP farm is a much better way to go. You get between 2 and 4, and that's still in your 10 category, so you have just over 39 per hour. Water bottles are also in that 10, but because you only get 1 of them per trade, it's just over 13 per hour. Our fire resistance potions, both our splashing and drinking variety, are in the 8 out of 459. Means that you'll get about 10.5 of each of them per hour. Now it gets a little more complicated with these iron boots, because these iron boots will be randomly enchanted with soul speed between 1 and 3. Now each time these are picked, you only get one of them, and they're picked 8 times out of the 459 attempts. And that means you'll get just about 10.5 boots, but you'll get 3.5 of each level boot. And that is similar for our Soul Speed Enchantment book. This is a 5 out of the 459, the least likely of all of the trades. You only get 1 when it is traded, which means you'll get about 6.5 books per hour, but because these are also randomly enchanted between 1 and 3, that's 2.18 of each level book per hour. And this is also, of course, per piglin. So the more piglins you have, the more trades you can do per hour, the more of each of these you'll get. And these, of course, being averages, that these will appear the longer you trade, but are subject to spikes and deviations. And it's just a well put together chest here. It shows you all of the different things that you can get. These are not done mathematically to show you what you will get. It's just a good visual approximation. Now, you don't actually need a lot of redstone in these farms, and the first one I'm going to show you is no redstone at all, and that's this right here. And it doesn't look like much because it really isn't all that much. If I scroll underneath here and I hit you with an F3, you can see that the entity count, which is right over here, is at 64. And that's because I put 64 of the piglins into a holding chamber. And this, as simple as it is, will get you 216,597.12 items per hour, chewing through over 38,000 gold. And this farm is a manual design, clearly, but still, sometimes manual designs are just fine, because sometimes you're looking for speed, and the way that this farm works is these piglins will actually appropriately share. They will only grab 1, and that means you don't have to worry about even distribution or anything of that nature. You can just throw them stacks, and they will throw you all of the items, and you can see you get them in a hurry. And as I attempt to put all of the items into the chest as fast as they throw them at me, you can see there really isn't a heck of a lot of waiting around, and you can sort them as you go or just shove them all into a chest and take whatever you need or let whatever it is you want despawn. And this really, for most people, is going to be a perfectly fine thing to do, because these are not that hard to catch. You can set up a pen like this pretty fast, and it'll convert your gold with extraordinary speed for extraordinary items. Now this farm over here is, if you don't really like catching them all that much, or if you just kind of like the redstone, then I do recommend this farm. And so we can see it in action. I'm actually going to grab some of these hoppers and chests, and we'll put an extra chest down here and connect all 3 of these to this one. Now this would be an unsustainable sorting system in the long term. As I pointed out, it's a little over 3,300 per hour. Each hopper can only handle 9,000 per hour, so each hopper can only handle 2 of them, and you'll get an overflow on the 3rd. So this is just to show you kind of how fast this works. And in the background, so this is also our automatic off switch. I don't really like them, but I'll show you them just in case. You're much better off just going overboard on your storage. But we turn this on by just coming here and clicking this button. And you can see we have some items dispensing, and it's gold dispensing onto our gold pressure plate. And these piglins will pick it up as they need, and another one is spit out. So I'll now show you how to make a couple of these things. The first one is going to be very, very easy, obviously, because it's just some holder cells. Note the vines in there, and also note that you do need to give those piglins either some gold armor that they don't have, or a name tag. but very quickly. You just make a very small pen. I like doing a 3x3 like this. Build it up and come on there with a roof. And then I like to use trapdoors because they're thin, so if anything falls in there, you can walk right up against them. And also a preference, I just happen to like the way it looks when they close down like this, but you can have them close up. This is just completely visual. And then be sure to come in here and hit those vines down there. They'll grow the rest of the way, but if you want, just for whatever purposes you have, you can add the rest of them just like this, and that'll prevent our entity cramming. And to get them in, you just make a little path up here with a hole in the top, and then you can put a trapdoor here and have them chase you when you take off your gold armor, or lure them in by throwing gold along the way and then coming and giving them a nudge. And then just replace your roof. And it really is that simple, that fast. And then the bulk of your time is going to be collecting all of your piglins or making a piglin farm that drops them directly into there for massive amounts. The 64 I chose is just because I like that I can throw a whole stack at them, but ultimately you can pick whatever number you want. As long as those vines are there, you won't have any entity cramming issues anyways, so that won't matter. Now let's talk about building this one that has going on in the background. Let's get rid of all of those items. And let's see what we need. And this is broken down as follows. This top line right here is the farm itself. This piston and redstone block are needed to actually jam some of your piglins in there. And then this right here is going to be our automatic off switch, our overflow protection, if you want it. As I said, I don't like it, but I'll show you how to make it in case you are more forgetful and won't clean out your chests as often as you should. So the easiest way to do this is to start with a guiding block in the center, just like that, and put our chests down in this category, in this configuration. Now we're going to grab our hopper and put them facing into these chests. Now we know our main block is going to be here. This is going to be our important block that has all of the stuff happening to it. So we're going to add that, and then we're going to make a cage for the piglins. So you can see in the back I like to use stone, in the front I like to use glass, but this is completely an aesthetic choice. You can use all stone if you want. Just keep in mind you won't be able to open these chests if you make those stone. So I just also like the way it looks. Now we're going with a little bit of a theme here, so we're going to put a gold pressure plate there, and yellow carpet, could of course be any carpet you want, on top of these hoppers. And we're going to put our dispenser facing over this pressure plate, just like that. And now we need to get our piglins in before we put the rest of our containing glass. So we have some piglins over here. And we also have our redstone block and our piston here. And this works, did I just grab? Yes, here. This works for the adults, so I would suggest just catching the adults. And you want to put 2 in the back here, 2 back here, and only 1 in the front. Now you can add a 6th by putting a second one right here, but you don't get as efficient because this can't keep up with all 6. This will have each one getting an item every 6 seconds as intended. As you can see, we have still going on over here. If you add a 6th, it'll be very slightly faster than that, but slightly less lag efficient. So again, that's your choice. Now, if you listen, we can't put a block there because they're standing on the carpet. They're just taller than the block, so it won't let us put it in. So that's why we need our pistons. And you can do this one at a time, or you can do this all at a time. It's up to you. I only put 1 piston in the need, but if you have more, go for it. And then our redstone block is going to make that piston push the glass block down, just like that. And now they're all very nicely contained. Now for some quality of life issues, we're going to add one more hopper here. And we're also going to put a double chest up here. And this is where you can add all of your gold. And it'll filter down nicely into your dispenser. And this is what you can check to make sure that your farm has enough to run. Now you need to come back underneath here and add a redstone torch to this block. And you can see that that's actually started the farm already. But if that farm wasn't started, we would come in here and use this button. And the way you turn this farm off is actually just to come and stand here, and you will pick up this gold ingot before it hits the pressure plate, which stops the whole thing. And then to restart it, you just come under here and you press this button, and it will trigger everything into play. The gold ingot is spit out onto the pressure plate. It lands on it, which you can see is turning off this torch. Then your piglin is picking it up, which causes the torch to turn back on, which causes it to spit out another item, and the cycle will continue until you run out of gold, or you come in here and grab it before it hits that pressure plate. Now, I did say I would show you how to make your automatic off switch, even though I don't really like it that much because it is subject to having a couple of issues. And what that is because of the different variety of items, you can sometimes have a false positive, which will turn off your farm. So that's really up to you if you think that's important. I much prefer just going overboard on the storage as opposed to having the automatic off switch. But in case you want it, what we're going to do is have some comparators coming out this way. And you can actually squeeze in here and fit that in there. And then you also want to have one on this side and one on this side, all feeding off of those hoppers. And then we want to count out. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. As far counting with eagle eye, back in style. And then just connect those, and you'll notice that when we put our redstone here, this is the same 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as this one is and this one is, so they're all the same. Now we're going to add one more block, and this is where our repeater goes. Also add one more block for one more dust. Before we put that dust, let's make a top half slab, and we do want to make sure this is a half slab so that the signal isn't blocked. And then we're going to make a chain coming up and backwards like this, and break that, and then bring this all the way over, and then our redstone dust comes up and all the way to here. Now you can connect it to here, but as you'll see, the redstone torch affects this, so that will cause this whole line to blink every time. I don't like blinking redstone when I can avoid it, so I'm going to put a repeater there instead. Of course, not liking blinking redstone is one of the reasons I don't like this, because you'll see every time you get an item, you will have one of your comparators that will blink or wait until it finished filtering some items. You can see this is the risk. If you get the wrong configuration of items, then you can actually have it build up enough to turn this off when you don't have any storage issue. It doesn't happen very often, but of course it can, which is why I don't like it. I would just say go overboard on your storage. And then you just click this on. And as long as this is somewhere loaded in your world, and it does have to be in the nether, because if you bring these guys into the overworld, they will be converted into zombie piglins, and they won't want to trade anymore. This will just keep on running in the background. And you can see when I turn that one on, we can see exactly how much we've gotten since then. So you've already more than filled up this chest, coming back up into all of these hoppers and all of these chests. So this is pretty fast. I mean, if we want to look at the numbers here, over here we have the one piglin, which is capable of doing about 3.4 thousand items per hour. So you can do your own math on how fast 5 of them will chew through your gold. So these farms are very productive even as they're small, but of course this is a lot slower than just throwing gold at a horde of them that you keep trapped in a tiny, tiny room. And then close this to make sure they don't shoot you while you're getting stuff out of your chest, or just get those ones with the gold swords. And that's really all there is to it. I do highly recommend building at least one of these in your world. Combine that with a gold farm, and your gold farm all of a sudden becomes an all of these things farm, which is a lot better than it used to be. And you get all of the goodies. If you found this video helpful, I would appreciate a like. If you found it interesting, maybe even tell one of your friends or one of your favorite YouTubers. And for more like this, be sure to subscribe. I hope you noticed this high quality editing mood change right here. Look at that. I may not edit my videos, but that doesn't mean I can't get these high quality production value mood changes by just looking across different biomes. Once again, thanks for stopping by.